My name is Shad, and this is my story. There weren't really many positive influences in my life as far as spirituality goes. The strongest influence I had as a little kid was my grandpa, and he was a believer. He just hadn't been to church in several years for whatever reason, but he would always watch Christian TV in the morning. I just remember one day being at his house, and a televangelist comes on, and he starts talking about salvation, and not something I ever heard before. And he starts talking about having your own relationship with God and how it's available to everyone, and that all you have to do is to ask God for it. And I remember being a little kid there and getting on my face and asking God to be a part of my life. Fast forward a decade, and I was 16, and I wasn't really around my grandpa that much anymore, so I don't really have any influences at this point, any spiritual influences at this point. And the home I live in is pretty chaotic, a lot of fighting, and I just wasn't a very good environment. And all of a sudden my mom starts going to this church, and she's been inviting me, not being put in the environment to grow. You know, I'd gotten to where I questioned whether or not God even existed, and I was leaning towards not existing. But what happened was she kept going, and she kept asking for me to go with her, and I could not help but to see how her life had transformed during that time. And again, this was a pretty chaotic home, but now all of a sudden, my mom is happy. She has a genuine joy. And I remember to this day, 14 years later, seeing her standing in the kitchen, washing the dishes and singing. And for the household I lived in, that was a very weird thing to see someone with so much joy that they would just sing. And especially after just not seeing anything like that for so much time. And so she started asking me if I wanted to go again, and I finally obliged. They spoke and acted as if they knew God on a personal level. And not only did they try to interact with him, it was as if they were interacting back to the people. It was a shock to my system to see people be so genuine about something that could not be seen. But I decided if it was real, I was gonna do it. And so I started taking, the steps towards understanding God. And things have been all over the place. There have been a lot of highs and a lot of lows, but I just want to say that your walk with God matters. The reality of God can't help but to make itself known in other people's lives. Like, if you are plugged into God, then the character of nature of God is going to go out into the world, and it's going to make lives better, and I am evidence of that.